OK, well, let's speak to Titon Mitra, who's the UN Development Programme representative in Myanmar, and he joins us live now from the capital. Obviously, we were just hearing there that the situation is incredibly difficult as well because of this monsoon season, rather, that's around the corner. What are you facing, or the challenges that are being faced on the ground from your teams?
I think, as your journalist just spoke earlier, the real challenge is to get the quantity of aid that's required to all the places that's required. We are starting a steady flow of distribution to those in need, and much of the attention at the moment has been in areas controlled by the military, and certainly in the urban areas. But the needs are truly immense. The description of the hospital, I just returned from Sagaing 2 today, and there's a clear need of a considerable amount of medical supplies, trauma kits, blood bags, antibiotics, anaesthetics, other sorts of medicines. There is no water supply in both of the major cities, in Sagaing and Mandalay. Shelter is a real problem, and if you went out in the streets tonight at this time, they would be full of people who are too scared to be in their houses, so we have to get some temporary shelter in. But also importantly, building integrity assessments have to be made so people have the confidence or can make a judgment as to whether they would continue to live in their accommodation or not. The markets are not functioning, so the immediate need certainly is to make sure there's food, preferably ready-to-eat food. But very soon after, we have to start to get the connections with the rural areas that are producing the food and avoid the dependencies of excessive food distribution and get incomes into people's hands so they can purchase the food, get jobs back to the people who need the jobs. And debris is scattered across Sagaing. It's hard to move around.
I was just about to say, what's the terrain like? Because it sounds like, you know, it's across the country, even the terrain, the roads, it's difficult to actually physically be able to reach some of those areas.
Well, I think that needs to be there's a nuanced answer to that. And if you're bringing goods up from Naypyidaw or from Yangon, the highways are largely operational. There's a few areas you have to bypass, but you can get certainly heavy trucks into Sagaing and Mandalay. But then the issue is if you want to go beyond Sagaing City into the north, if you want to go into northern Shan, these are areas that are controlled by resistance forces. And at the moment, access to those areas with the direct agreement of the military authorities is difficult. So the physical issues are there, but it's more at the moment access due to security.
And that's also in terms of, you were mentioning there, the aid that needs to be delivered, the products, the lack of water, for example, or at least clean water. But what about manpower? Does the government have the ability to be able to help the public there? Do they have enough expertise, enough rescue workers? And are you able to facilitate help in that area?
I think that's a very good question and a good point, that the technical capacity, for example, in debris management, just watching the process here, people are working with really no plan, with no protective equipment. The separation of debris, none of that has been taking place. It's largely being done by private entities and commissioned by the building owners. So the government's or the military authorities' role in that is fairly limited. And then when it comes to the expertise required to establish the markets, they would have that. And the expertise required to have health facilities functioning, they would certainly have that. But the problem, of course, is that a lot of the manpower, person power from the health system have left because of the civil disobedience movement. So the technical capacity is around. It would need to be supplemented in parts, but the political situation makes it hard for a lot of the basic services to return to operational levels pre-military takeover.
OK, thank you very much. Titon Mitra from the UN Development Programme there on an update on the situation in Myanmar post-earthquake.
Thank you.